Head of marketing at Clay. I consider him like the Tom Brady of marketing. He's done this multiple times. He's got a couple rings now.
The way that AI products grow today are through user-generated content and through virality. You tell others. And the underlying thing is because you want to look good. The challenge that companies face is like, how can you continue to grow both? Because this one drives the awareness and brand love. This one drives an insane amount of revenue. How do you prioritize both? People were paying a shit ton of money for a terrible product, for terrible results.
All right, so we're back again for another episode of Understory Unfiltered. Got a special guest, a friend, and somebody I've been trying to get on the podcast for like, I don't know, a year at this point, but he's here. It's Bruno Estrella, head of marketing at Clay. I consider him like the Tom Brady of marketing. He's done this multiple times. He's got a couple rings now. And yeah, I'm excited to have him here. Welcome, Bruno.
Excited to be here. I know I've been sort of like postponing this. I'm sorry, but I'm super excited.
Better late than never, you know?
Super excited to chat with y'all here.
Yeah, I'm pumped you're here. And yeah, I've seen you a couple times since we've done this, and a lot has changed. I mean, I saw you most recently at Sculpt in San Francisco,
Yeah,
first ever conference for Clay, and in my personal opinion, it went incredibly well.
yeah,
Honestly, I think it was my favorite conference I've ever been to, and it
yeah,
was your first ever.
yeah.
So shout out the whole team on that. But
That'll work.
yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And then, I'm always seeing you whenever I'm in New York. I see you in the office. I'll be in New York next week, but unfortunately, you're going to be here in Florida. We're swapping
I know,
places.
I know.
So we had to do it over a podcast.
Yeah. I'll stay in your apartment. Just give me your
Yeah, you can
Lambo.
stay. You can stay. Don't worry. I'll give you an extra key. You can stay as long as you want.
Nice, nice.
Cool. So, Bruno, I want to get into it. I mean,
Yeah,
we're just talking about this before we hit record, but I feel like, everyone knows Kareem and Varun. They founded Clay. They built an incredible company, but they
yeah,
didn't do it alone. And
yeah.
they're very open about that and adamant about that, show a lot of pride in the team. You were very early. I think you were what, like an employee number 20 or something like that?
Yeah. 20 something. Yeah.
Yeah. And you started off what, as VP of marketing or something like that?
I started as like a head of growth marketing. I have a growth background, so I started
Yeah.
in growth marketing and then moved to head of marketing.
Head of marketing. And what a lot of people don't know is that beautiful community that Clay has, the Slack channel with, I don't know, what is it, like close to 10,000 people at this point, all
Yeah.
the followers on LinkedIn, all of the viral posts that have gone crazy on LinkedIn, everything. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. You were the mastermind behind that. And you deserve a lot of credit. Like I said, I think you're the Tom Brady of marketing because this isn't the first time you've done that. You did this at Webflow too. So it was a bit of a, I don't want to say it was a total copy and paste because it was definitely different. And I feel like what you did with Clay, despite the fact that Webflow is enormous,
Yeah.
what you did with Clay, I feel like the speed in which it happened was absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So I want to talk to you about that. So I think you joined Webflow when they were what, 10 million ARR, something like that?
Yeah, we were like 60 people. Yeah, something around that, something around 10 million or something.
And then you took this whole community playbook and you built it out at Webflow. And then you came and did it again when there was only 20 people at Clay. So I want to
Yeah,
talk to you about the first time you did it at
yeah,
Webflow. Where did that idea come from? I mean, you have an agency background. You've done a lot of things in your life.
yeah.
College soccer player. There's a ton of stuff that people don't know about you. But yeah, how did you come up with that play the first time? And then how easy was it to replicate the exact same thing when you came to Clay?
So I think like at Webflow, there were a lot of there were people before me there that already kind of implemented some elements of this. Um, so there was a natural community there of I think the underlying thing for people to understand. I think I get a lot of questions like how can we replicate this community motion or this like ecosystem motion, right? And the underlying thing is most of the communities that are centralized around a product is because the product is flexible and powerful, and the product enables people to actually build businesses on top of the product. The reality is that if Clay sucked as a product and didn't enable you or like others to build businesses on top of the product, no one would care about the community. Like no one would care to invest so much time and energy into learning from others and kind of going deep and sharing resources and stuff. And this is similar on, so if you have like a self-serve product that is flexible and powerful, this this sort of like naturally starts to happen. So that was what we saw, what we had at Webflow too. Like people, the product was very flexible and powerful. We naturally start to attract community people in there, like that are invested into the product, and because they can now build things that they would never be able to build before. So, and the natural next step as a service provider is you showcase the work that you do and you talk to other people, right? And the playbook that we did at Webflow was like, can we actually build some programs around this that leverage the 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 power of the product and the community? This is sort of like a common playbook on if you look at design products, like Figma had something like this as well. Framer as well have they kind of have it now. Um, and you can see with design AI products too, like Gamma kind of has it now as well. And when you especially with AI, the the way that AI products grow today are through user generated content, because and through virality, you tell others, and the underlying thing is because you want to look good, you want to sound smart because of some reason. I want to grow my company. The way that I do is showcasing that I am a thought leader in this space, and the way that I showcase that being a thought leader in this space is by showcasing this thing that I built, you know. So, and the way that you can control some of these things is through specific programs within a community, which is like, okay, I need to, like, you as a marketing person, I need to make sure that I am showcasing these people and adding credibility to these people so they can grow their business and naturally we grow as well. So that's sort of like the underlying philosophy that I learned a lot from the Webflow founders and the people that were there. And then when I saw Clay, because I have my background in Outbound and and having an Outbound agency, I'm like, okay, there's nothing
Let's
like
we
this.
should talk about that a little bit too. So
Yeah,
talk about your background a little bit and how you spotted clay and like what your because I know this story because we talked about it over dinner one time.
yeah, yeah.
But tell the whole story about how you spotted clay and you knew it was going to be a product that was actually going to scale to the moon because of your background.
Yeah, so like back in 2000 like 16-ish, I was doing Outbound as a 16 or 17, like as a freelancer. And I was sort of like doing what Clay does today manually, or and with some engineers that I worked with, and I had like a freelancer business, and then what we did was like some like basically searching, like scraping a bunch of websites, searching for things on LinkedIn, like using a bunch of LinkedIn Chrome extensions, exporting that, cleaning everything in Excel, then using a lot of email finding tools, and then so like doing the waterfall logic, but manually, and then validating the emails, then sending the campaigns, then auto connecting on LinkedIn, all of those things that you can do everything now with Clay and multiple other tools in a much more programmatic way. But I was doing that like very like a long time ago, like 2017 or 8 or 16. And then I actually joined a different like a friend with a he had like he scaled like a really big agency, and we I joined him. And then while I was there, I met the Webflow founders. I met the founders. I'm like, okay, this sounds really interesting. I really resonate with these guys. Then left. But then when I saw Clay, I was like, okay, this is really interesting because there's the element. I really understand the problem. Because when I first saw Clay, like mid 2023, I'm like, holy shit. Probably similar reaction that you had.
For sure.
I'm like just the waterfall itself. I'm like, holy shit, this would have saved me so much time. And then when I saw Claygen, I'm like, oh my god, this is insane. And so when I because of the back because I really understood the problem, and then I noticed like some elements that had similar to Webflow. I'm like, okay, this thing's gonna blow up, and I know how we can grow this. So then decided to join.
Yeah, and it's an amazing story. And I think what you're talking about is something that resonates with a lot of people like me and,
Yeah,
like my competitors who are also my friends, by the way, which
yeah,
I saw you comment on a post the other day about how you love that about this community. It's true. We're all
yeah,
friends.
yeah,
But a lot of this stuff was happening already, but it was happening behind the scenes in WhatsApp groups.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I almost feel like there was a perfect storm that occurred
yeah,
where LinkedIn as just a platform was
yeah,
absolutely exploding.
yeah,
And all this, creator-led content. Like back in the day,
yeah,
you had some older folks that were doing it. Like
yeah,
I don't remember their names, but like those copywriting guy, Josh Braun, and like
yeah,
guys like that were like crushing on LinkedIn before. But then a new wave of
yeah,
content started coming out where it was workflow content. It's really
yeah,
hacky content. And it was
yeah,
like a
yeah,
perfect storm of Clay, which wasn't a new product, but it started to pick
yeah,
up some traction.
yeah,
That wave, and then this community that you brought in, where it was like
yeah,
I mean, I got to give you more credit here too, because I think a lot of us, myself included, I was posting Clay workflows and not being compensated, not
mhm,
being anything. It was just me posting it because I wanted the world to see what I was building, and I thought it was so damn cool. And
mhm,
obviously, it was a play for us to grow our business as well.
yeah,
And then when you came in, it was like the perfect storm of all of us doing this simultaneously. And then you
mhm,
say, by the way, here's a creator program. Now you guys have a link. And
yeah,
if someone signs up for your link, you get a 20% referral commission
yeah,
for the first
yeah,
12 months, which, by the way, for a small business at Clay's
yeah,
price points, can
yeah,
seriously make a difference for a lot of people,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And you
yeah,
guys weren't greedy about it either. You were saying, okay, 12 months, not the
yeah,
first month, 12
yeah,
months, 20% commission. If someone signs up for
yeah,
an $800 plan, and you
yeah,
have 10 of those, boom, you just
yeah,
made $1,000 a month. That can cover
yeah,
someone's rent.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's sort of, I think like there are two elements here, which is like the the commission element, right? Like you get some money like and as like a reward for the work that you're doing, and also it's like then you have like brand validation from Clay. You know, it's like, oh shit, like so whenever there's a client that comes and visit your profile or your website, there's clear like a validation that, oh, these guys are actually accepted into this program and they know what they're doing. So it adds credibility to you, which then helps people actually grow their business. All right. So I think the brand validation is also like that's why you need the program in the background to accept people and get them the validation that they deserve. So then that part actually helps them skyrocket the business as well. You know.
Totally. I mean, I will tell you openly here. I don't like to talk about our actual revenue on this podcast, but
Yeah.
it's made us millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like our business has made millions of dollars just from being recognized as one of the top clay agencies that
Yeah.
exists in the world, and we were
Yeah.
one of the first ones to do it too.
Yeah.
And it's like I can tell you, it's not just me. The first, call it 10 to 15 clay agencies,
Yeah.
all of us have scaled to
Yeah.
millions of dollars a year in
Yeah.
revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And it's
crazy.
it is crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like there's a lot of millions to go around.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it's just really cool too because it's changed a lot of lives. And so I
Yeah.
think
Exactly.
beyond you just scaling Clay to where it is, you've changed a lot of our lives
Yeah. Yeah.
inadvertently.
Yeah. It's. I think that's sort of like like the thing that makes it really powerful on this, and even like you can see the new people kind of coming up too, like Javaria. You
Yep.
know, like for she's someone that um, is in Pakistan. You know, like couldn't make couldn't find a job, couldn't sort of like like had a difficult time with like careers in general, and then they find it has like a really strong skill set that can be now you have there's like a ton of opportunities, you know, and we see these stories. I think like the economic development side of like learning the skill is something that move us a lot here. Like that's why we've been trying to invest a lot on the programs in the community to try to up level people, because there's a lot of like people that now they they change their trajectory from like a even from a just from a financial standpoint, right?
Totally. I mean, I think you know Nayab as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like she made that video
yeah,
talking about how she used to get paid like $4 an hour for VA
yeah,
work from Upwork,
yeah,
and
yeah,
now she's getting paid like a legitimate American salary
yeah,
to do high skill work that she should have been
yeah.
getting paid for regardless. So
Exactly, exactly. So I think that these are the things that really like move us, to be honest here. Like we blasted that video everywhere for everyone to see it, because it's easy to get caught up into the product and to get better on these areas. And there's so much that we can do, but I think like going back and seeing the impact is something that we like that moves like it moves us quite a lot here. And the ecosystem's the area that we need to double down as much as possible all the time. So yeah,
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, yeah, lots of lives have been changed from the clay ecosystem.
yeah,
And it was
yeah.
interesting too, because like, the first time I met Kareem, I think was probably 3 years ago. And the
Yeah.
last time I saw Kareem, which was maybe 3 months ago,
Hmm.
he hadn't changed at all. Despite the fact that, I know Kareem a little bit better than I know Varun, I would say, but like Kareem, seeing him as the guy he is today versus 3 years ago when he's probably worth 150x what he was 3 years ago, it's just wild to see too. And it just shows
Yeah,
like these guys really care about the product. They really care about what it's doing for the ecosystem much more than the actual money that it's making them, which
yeah,
I think is a
yeah,
big testament too to the success of the
yeah.
company.
They're obsessed. It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah,
Everyone at Clay is. It's like you
yeah,
go there and people are just in there and Friday night,
yeah.
7 p.m., DJing, drinking kombucha, all the different stuff.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
There's like I think in 30 minutes we'll start here.
What, the DJ set?
The DJ's that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yash will be over there on a ripstick, just boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Something else I want to talk to you about. So this is really interesting to me, and obviously it's been, seems like a clear way that you guys have grown recently.
Hmm.
But when I first started using Clay, and when all of us did, it was PLG with a really high quality support system that consisted of Arturo Orozco and a Slack channel, just being a superhuman.
Yeah.
And nowadays, it sounds like you guys are still doing the PLG thing very, very well. I mean, people
Yeah.
sign up all the time. I feel like an $800 pro plan is getting slung
Yeah.
around like nobody's business. But
Yeah.
beyond that, also the enterprise motion.
Yeah.
And you guys, so there's a few different questions I have within this. One,
Yeah.
how did that decision come about? Was it investors that are pushing that on you guys? Was it something that you guys came up with as a company? And
Hmm.
how big of a lever has that been for you guys to continue to scale? That's
Yeah.
question number one. And
Yeah.
then two, what has been able to help you push the enterprise plan over the edge versus the pro plan? Like, for example, you can get a lot done with the
Yeah.
pro plan in Clay. Like, for example, I'm not on an enterprise plan,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we've been a heavy, heavy power user for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, talk to me a little bit about that. How did the enterprise plan come around? How big of a lever has it been for you guys to
Yeah.
grow? And how do
So
you guys put
basically,
people over?
this is like an enterprise plan is like actually like the sales led motion within an SL within like a product led motion is inevitable for any PLG company. Like every PLG company in the world have has a has to get into like an SLG motion. Uh, like think of like Figma, like really like PLG really big PLG like Airtable, Figma, Notion, um, any Webflow. I was hiring Webflow to actually validate that we could go web market, and all companies um, layer an SLG motion on top of a PLG motion if they have a PLG one. Mostly because one, depending on the company, there's a natural adoption. Like companies like let's say Figma, for example, or Slack, right? You create an account and then you have to invite others to actually get value out of this product. So you start to grow within companies, and then when you have a seed-based account, a seed-based model, you get to a point that you have way too many people within that company, and then you actually upsell them to a enterprise account. And some companies, like some enterprise companies, you have to go through a procurement motion. You have to go through like a security questionnaire, or you have to have security requirements. So you naturally start as you grow the PLG side. You start to bump into these companies that require you to have like a more hands-on approach, right? Um, so for us, it was kind of similar, where we started to grow the PLG side. The PLG side drives a lot of awareness, right? And then you start to get people in larger companies using Clay, like Rippling was one of the first ones, and then Verkada, Ramp, uh,
OpenAI.
OpenAI, and then they, because they see the top of funnel and they see what's going on, they want to adopt it. But these companies require a ton of work, both from like security, from like a customer success motion, to get this adopted. And now we have it became like a massive lever for us, because all these companies want to implement these things, and we and Clay's their ICs start to actually want to explore this, and they have to go through a sales process to actually buy the product, you know. So for us, it was sort of like a natural we knew that we kind of had to get, and then like from like a pure numbers and growth perspective, these deals are much bigger, right? And
How big do
the
these deals get? The enterprise deals.
you get like six-figure deals, you know.
Hmm,
Like high, we can get to high six-figure deals, like low six
really?
figures. Yeah, it's because, dude, imagine how big a com like a how big of a database like a public company has, you know. So there's like a ton of there's a ton of the complexities around these systems as well. So it's like a really sizable motion. And the thing that the problem that people often run into is, you have these two motions now, right? Like the self-serve motion, which is driven by the community and the PL, the sort of like the the content being created, and so the types of people using the product at that side are very different than the types of people using the product on the SOG side, right? The challenge that companies face is like, how can you continue to grow both? You know, because this one drives the awareness and brand love. This one drives an insane amount of revenue. You know, so how do you prioritize both? It's one thing that we're very very intentional, which is like we need to continue to grow this side, so this side also benefits as well. But that's one area that I think that companies tend to struggle over time, and they typically choose this one, uh, the the sales led side. But then it hurts the brand love, and then over all of a sudden this part dries out. You know, but it's because they in the last 12 months they forgot about this. So it's sort of like you kind of have to balance these things out over time.
So,
But
what does the revenue split look like right now, if you're able to say it, but like between enterprise versus PLG?
I don't know if I can say it, but it's PLG is still like a big driver, but sales light is growing really fast, really really fast.
Shout out Everett.
Yeah, shout out to Everett. And yeah, it's like it's a really big motion. It's becoming like a really big driver for us.
Yeah,
Um,
and to be honest, I'm starting to see the benefit more and more. So like we're working with a couple publicly traded companies and a couple companies that were public, went private, things like that. And
yeah,
all of them, we find they're just getting to a point where the tool has become so valuable for them. Like there's this one company, I can't actually say the name of them, that we've been working with for 6 months now,
yeah,
and we built them basically an app. Like it's not even a clay table at this point, it's an
yeah,
app. And it's an
yeah,
app that basically allows them to identify when an executive from any of the top, call it 10,000 biggest companies in the world, changes jobs and goes to another company within that cohort of companies. So let's
mm-hmm,
say you go from Apple to Microsoft. Let's say it's Tim Cook. When
hmm,
Tim Cook changes a job, it'll identify that he's changed jobs.
hmm,
It'll enrich every single bit of information from news sources, from everything you can think of about why maybe he changed jobs.
yeah,
It'll
yeah,
it'll come up with multiple variations of copy for him, plug it all into Salesforce, update the contact in Salesforce with all of the relevant information. If it
yeah,
doesn't work for any reason, like let's say one of the data pieces is missing or something like that, we built a button within Clay that allows you to
yeah,
go in and manually update it. And then
yeah,
if you want to upload it and overwrite the contact, you can do that. It can do all these different things. And for them, it became so valuable. It replaced, I don't want to say replaced, it augmented 20 people in their organization with one like workflow. I mean, it's a very intricate workflow. It's 125 columns. We have to get it expanded multiple times. But
yeah,
with that said, like if you can replace, augment 20
yeah,
people
Yeah,
with a single Clay table, the value is absolutely there for them to go with an enterprise plan and have unlimited data basically to play with,
yeah,
unlimited rows, everything. So it
yeah,
makes sense. And for them, they were like, yeah, in January, we're just going to upgrade this thing to an enterprise plan
yeah,
and we're going to go through and
yeah,
augment some of our existing staff.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. It's like these companies, like, and now we have like really really big companies like Google
yep.
uses Clay, um, like HubSpot, OpenAI. So it's like these are really really big companies. So the workflows that they can now build are they 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 get hooked like anyone, like anyone that is like an IC or like me and you when you first see it was like holy shit, like I can't believe I can do this now. And you just kind of like I think the product itself, like as soon as you get to like someone who gets it, like who has like a background on some sort of ops role or like an outbound and like list building type of motion. As soon as they see, they're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this. I haven't been using this thing." Um, but yeah, it's like, and we're starting to get into like enterprises are becoming like a really big part of our emotion now. But
Yeah.
the thing is like, how can we continue to grow the community and self-serve side and that one at the same time?
Yeah. Well, what I see changing about the community, so obviously when you first started the community, it felt very grassrootsy, right? It felt like a bunch of growth hackers
Yeah,
that it was the wild, wild west of the craziest people on all of WhatsApp and Slack,
yeah,
building the craziest things you've ever seen or heard from in your life,
yeah,
and just throwing things out there into the open and
yeah,
just seeing what sticks. Throw some shit at the wall, see what
yeah,
sticks. What I'm seeing
yeah,
it transition to is I'm seeing humongous companies and
yeah,
like the top RevOps leaders at the biggest companies in the world post content on LinkedIn about
yeah,
what they're building in Clay.
yeah,
So it feels like it's just matured over the years. What I want to give you guys credit for is I think you guys have turned growth hacking into a mainstream thing,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's sort of like it's that technical marketer uh, that we call GTM engineering here at Clay that drive building these systems to generate revenue, and then and then like we kind of it's the product that it's really powerful, and but you need some sort of like profile to make that work. Yeah, it's and then like oftentimes in these larger companies, these people sit in ops because they are more the technical marketer that can think of from a systems point of view,
Mhm.
and with workflow and AI and automation, you have that person who's like a HTML engineer that it's like thinking of like how can I build this workflow that will generate revenue for the company.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Funny
yeah.
enough, Matthias just actually pinged me on Slack.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, see, we're all friends. I'm telling
Yeah,
you, like we're all friends.
that's awesome.
But no, I have two more difficult questions that I really want to get your opinion on, and I think transparently, like this is part of your genius. But there's a couple things. So from the outside perspective, it seems like every single thing you've done to grow Clay over the last how long has it been? 3 years since you've been there? Almost
2 years. 2
2
years.
years. Okay. So in the last 2 years, it feels like you haven't failed once. Obviously, that's not true. Everyone fails, right?
Uh,
So what hasn't worked, and where have you struck out that you would recommend that other companies that are trying to build something into what Clay became and will continue to become could avoid?
um, I think there are a few things that like there's so many things that didn't work. Like like a few things is like the first one that comes to mind is I joined Clay. We were like 20 people, and I came from an org that I had just like, and I was doing growth marketing at Clay first, and then at Webflow I had 12 people ish reporting to me on just on the growth marketing side. So it was my team was just as big as the company. So I think like when I joined Clay, I first started to think, okay, let me actually build the same rituals and same processes that I had. But the reality is that the when you are so early, you have to focus. So basically, what I was doing is like, okay, let's actually look at revenue week over week. Let's look at the channels. Let's build the attribution. Let's go deeper into all of this and sort of like let's run these motions to get this going. But the reality when you're so small, you just have to like work on things and ship things and go by brute force. You kind of have to of course, have the right um, programs and like prioritize the right things. But you have to speed is what matters at the end of the day. Like your speed of execution is what matters at the end of the day. And especially today, like the faster that you can move, the better for you from like a marketing and top of funnel motion. So this was like I think like I try to implement like the typical sort of like what a growth person would do, and that doesn't work. The other thing that's somewhat similar is more on the attribution ish side, where when when you focus to when you have like pure click through and attribution models as your core, as your bible for decision making, you just fail so much on like to see the bigger picture. Like when we look at today, even like when you look at click based and cookie based attribution models in Clay, you will see that LinkedIn is a small portion. But when you actually talk to people and you go deeper with everyone, where do they spend time? You're at core ICP, it's there. So like a lot of your decision making at the end of the day, especially for a PLG heavy product, can't rely too much on attribution and tracking. Otherwise, you're going to optimize for things like building an SEO motion, which can work, but it's not going to want to make you 10x that year. Same with sure we could spend a ton on outbound or ads, but what is actually going to make us 10x is going to be something different. And then you layer these other things on top, of course, like we do all of this today. But I think like prioritizing the right things early, that is a little bit detached from the typical like tracking that you would do, is what's gonna 10x you. I think that like I also made mistakes on even on the community and program side. I think it's hard to scale this. It's a very like human intensive work. Like you have to have people paying attention to a lot of things, and there's a lot of components on commissions and tracking, and and that
It sounds
that
like
is
a nightmare to operate, to be honest. I'll be honest with you. I think about that all the time. I'm like, man, I couldn't imagine being the one in charge of
like
this.
it involves money, right? So like people are very attached to it, and so it's a very intensive operations, and so there's a lot of mistakes, like the wrong tool, the wrong person managing this, the wrong processes. Like I'll tell you like of the first when I started, because there are two components, especially for our partner program, right? uh, they're one component that like you have to know Clay really well. You have to be top, like top percentile in Clay, and we have everyone send their Clay tables. We measure how good are you in reality. But the other component is like you need to be good with clients, right? And you need to be someone that it's like, because at the end of the day we're attaching our brand to you, and if you deliver a shitty service, it makes us look bad at the end of the day, right? So there's a lot of learnings there on like how do we measure these things? How do we assess this person can talk to humans? And doing that at scale at the volume that we get is tricky. So we made a lot of mistakes on like evaluation as well, and but then it's a problem because you have to kick people out. So
That's a
there's a
tough
lot.
conversation too.
Yeah, it's such a tough conversation. But yeah, it's there's a lot of like scaling problems. But the thing is, like at the end of the day, I think this is something that Varone is really big on too. Is and I learned a lot from him on this. Is like you have to pay attention to like the qualitative areas as well, that not only the quantitative ones. And I think especially on AI products today, because of what we were chatting earlier in this call, which is because they grow through these more like ecosystem motions, a lot of the things are not going to be super trackable. So you have to spend a lot of time with customers and seeing how they think of things. Like we had weekly calls for a long time, bi-weekly. And I had calls with other people in the community too, just to kind of get a feeling of how like things are going, and kind of get this like qualitative feedback, so we can double down on the right areas. It's hard to actually make it work at that speed with things that are only trackable, on an attribution model.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Um, I think the moral of that story right there is community is fucking hard, you know?
Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah. It
That's why
works
like
extremely well when it's executed to perfection, but it's really, really fucking hard. Yeah.
yeah, it's really hard. It's hard yeah, because like it involves a lot of people and expectations, right?
Yep.
That people have, but it can become like a big lever if you can execute. Um, it's very intensive though.
Yeah. Another question I have for you is you guys actually use data scientists in growth marketing. So like for you guys, for example, you're way more advanced. I mean, I think to be honest, the best way to put it is you guys dog food your own shit, right?
Yeah.
So it's you guys are playing with Clay, you're building all kinds of cool stuff in Clay to help you with your own marketing efforts. Talk to me
Uh-huh.
about some of the things that you're doing at Clay that you can't share publicly,
Yeah.
and how someone in your position at a smaller company maybe could start
Hmm.
implementing some of those tactics without the same level of resources that you have.
Yeah. I First of all, I think Clay really democratizes like a lot of the work. Like before I had Clay, even like programmatic SEO things that I would do back in the day, like you can do that with Clay today, and we do a lot of it with Clay. You need engineering and like a data person to normalize all the data, kind of like the things that you do in Clay today. There's a lot of companies back in the day that would require having like a dedicated data person and an engineer to do. So I think Clay unlocks a lot of this, and that's why we used Clay so much. Our Clay workspace is the craziest workspace I've ever seen. There's
I
so
mean, it makes
many.
sense. Yeah.
It's insane. Um, I think like one workflow that I love that we have as a team is we have like for the sales led motion, for example, we have our named account list, right? We have like our TAM. We do our TAM sourcing exercise, everything in Clay, right? We use a bunch of data points, and we group these accounts into tier one, two, and three. Normal thing that everyone does. The thing that it's really interesting that we do is how we measure our top of funnel, because the challenge from a marketing person is like, how do I keep the team focused on one specific audience, all the way from like very brand focused teams, all the way into like actually growth, like how can I measure people like on a pipeline in general, but like this, the brand side is really tough. So one thing that we did is, because we're very heavy on LinkedIn, and in Clay you can get the official LinkedIn API right in Clay. We see everyone that is tagging Clay as a like on their posts, and then these are like our own employees, these are experts or and partners, these are creators, and like people that are not even in our program. Then we see everyone who's mentioning us. Then we can see the people that have commented and liked because of the official LinkedIn API. And then we cross reference that with our named account list, and we created this metric called qualified engagement, right? So which are like, oh, are the people that are actually engaging with the content, do they belong in our named account list? And then I can now go our social and top of funnel team to be like, hey, you need to get a lift of qualified engagements, which are the same audience. It's the same. companies that the growth team is supposed to book meetings and generate pipeline with. So that aligns everyone into like one direction, and we are constantly looking, okay, this post here generated this, like over Varun's profile is actually generating a shit ton. We should double down here. Like there's a bunch of these things that we pay attention to, like, and we use Clay for all of this. The unfair things that we have unlimited Clay, so it's a little bit unfair, but like these things kind of you can kind of do that now that we wouldn't be able to do it before. So this is, I think, is my favorite one because no one kind of like realized that they can do these kind of
Can I
things.
tell you something?
Yeah.
I have the exact same play that I've been running for almost a year.
Really?
And I
Oh,
never
yeah.
turned it off, and I never talked about it really either. So I would share my screen, but I'm gonna make a whole
Yeah.
YouTube video about this. But
Yeah.
I've been running a play for literally almost a year. The only thing I've changed, I've tweaked the copy a little bit here and there because
Yeah.
copy just gets stale. But
Yeah.
I run this via HeyReach, via email, and now we're implementing into a custom audience for LinkedIn ads too, for
Nice. Yeah.
Understory. But what
Yeah.
we're doing is the same thing. So people talking about go-to-market engineering, Clay, in our case, paid media, LinkedIn ads, Google ads,
Yeah.
and just like GTM workflows, right? Those are the keywords that I have it searching
Yeah.
for on a daily
Yeah.
basis. So every 24 hours,
Yeah.
people that are engaging with
Yeah.
with that content, so
Yeah.
comment, like, anything,
Yeah.
they show up. I parse the JSON. I identify what company they're at. I go through their LinkedIn profile. I find their email address. And then I
Yeah.
run a Clegent column that goes and does research on them and identifies whether or not they're at a SaaS company
Mm-hmm.
that likely has budget for understory services. And we're not
Yeah.
cheap. I think you know how
Yeah.
much we
Yeah.
charge, but we're not
Yeah.
cheap. So it's pretty high. And
Yeah.
if they're a B2B SaaS company, and then there's criteria that tells me whether or not it's a company that we would be successful with on either paid media or LinkedIn,
Yeah.
or sorry, paid media or go to market engineering,
Yeah.
and then it'll bucket them into paid media or go to market engineering, and then it will only qualify them and find the email address so we don't waste credits and all that stuff.
Yeah.
If all of those things are true based on that Clegent run,
Yeah.
if they're true, then we send them to a HeyReach campaign, we send them to an email campaign. Gets us a
Yeah.
meeting almost every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. For us, it's similar. Like I think we run campaigns based off of that data, and I think the unlock for us is like I can put
Oh,
that data into a dashboard.
that
Uh,
too.
yeah.
And then the other thing that we're doing, sounds like you guys are doing too, is we do match. We use HubSpot as a CRM. We don't use Salesforce.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for us, we match it against HubSpot records, and if that record exists, none of the other future things occur.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
step one in the series of events that occurs. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I can't tell you the names because other my competition will go out and try to poach them if I do. But like big, well-known companies, like Series B, C companies that are absolutely crushing it, are
Mhm.
responding to these emails. They're booking calls. They're signing
Yeah.
contracts with us.
Yeah. 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 It's like it's really great that you can get this engagement, and then when you do top of funnel campaigns, you can then actually go yourself into those types of things, right? And then it's stuff that you can have control, like a lot of control over, and then you can kind of measure the performance of those things very well. Yeah, it's like one that I really like that we have in here.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we're about to start seeing a lot of that after this
Yeah,
podcast, but we'll see.
yeah.
We'll find something new when that happens, as
We'll see.
Varun says.
Exactly, exactly.
Find some new GTM
Yeah,
alpha, but
yeah,
nah, it works. That thing works like a charm, and that's why I don't like to talk about it too much.
yeah,
But
yeah,
anyways, there's one more major question I want to ask you, and then I have two final questions that I ask all of our guests.
yeah,
But like I said when I introed you on this call, to me you're like the Tom Brady of marketing. We'll call you the Patrick Mahomes because you're still young, but
yeah,
you've got two rings, chasing
yeah,
seven, maybe even eight. We'll see. I don't know, but you built two of the biggest companies, or I would say startups, alongside the rest of your team, but over the last 5 years, right? So there's two things. What have you seen changing as these companies are starting to pop up more and more in the AI space? Is there anything else that you're noticing for other growth marketers that might be a clear indicator that you have a winner? And what do you think is going to have to fundamentally change about the playbooks that are running over the next, call it 3 years, that growth marketers like yourself are going to have to look out for and be aware of?
yeah. I think the what changed to your first point is um I think it's a lot of like the speed of which you can build things is just like insane today, uh, compared to like 5 years ago.
Even 3 years ago.
Yeah, like you can build things like so much faster, and you can make things, you can validate things, and you can go to market so much faster that um, that's why we see these types of products growing super fast, alongside, of course, with there's a novelty effect, right? Of like all these products that are coming out with from like an AI point of view. There's a lot of there's a lot of hype. There's a lot of like, okay, I kind of I guess I kind of have to use this thing, you
Yeah.
know. But the ones that are going to survive are the ones that actually can drive business results. So I think the difference here is now, like, one, you can bring things to market much easier. You can execute things much faster, and then there's like this massive pull that like everyone needs to adopt this thing. I think that's the core difference. Um,
Well, what
but
about a tool like Lovable? So like I think about a Lovable who's I think they're what over 200 million in revenue
yeah,
fast in like 12 months or something they did that. But
yeah,
with that said, like let's be real, Lovable is extremely cool, but does it really add any revenue to companies? I don't know.
yeah, yeah. I don't know either. You know,
Yeah. So
I think we're gonna see like the as you start to see like more business critical use cases. I think Lovable has a use case on like real business around prototyping,
yeah, that's
uh,
true.
and so how much of this is it will continue to sustain itself, it's a question, right? I think everyone has, even the people that are investing in these companies have this question, you know, but they kind of have to take the risk, you know. I think it's like, there are clear winners there, like Cursor is one as well,
Cursor's
right?
amazing.
It's just incredible, like what the problem that it solves, you know. I think at the end of the day, like, is it solving like a really big problem, and AI is just a way that it solves a problem, you know, in a much faster way and much easier for the end user. So, and is this problem like actually critical to a business? I think over time we will see if a lot of the AI companies today are actually going to be solving these product problems and not be just hype, in general. I think the and to your other point, and that's a good question too. Um, Let me think about it. Yeah, I think most of the differences with with like Clay and Webflow, and the thing that I pay attention to is, I think the market is really different too, honestly. Like when you think of like Clay, and like looking back at Webflow too, is you have this this industry. The interesting thing about a product like Webflow, like a website, you know, especially on the PLG side, people are used to not paying anything for a website. You know, people pay pennies for, or $0 for a website a lot of the times, and the products are actually really good. You know, like most of the products are pretty good. They solve your problem. Um, like think of products like Squarespace or Wix, and even Webflow was like $40 on the self-serve plan for a long time. It's kind of insane how much value you get from how much you pay because of this market condition. Versus like on the Clay side, on the data and side of the house, it's literally the opposite. People were paying a shit ton of money for a terrible product, for terrible results. You know, so we kind of like
We won't name the products, but I think y'all know what
yeah,
we're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, flip the switch where like people are paying so much for getting zero results, and
Yeah.
now you can use this product that is like just delivered 10x the results. You know.
People were
Uh,
literally paying millions of
yeah,
dollars for those shit
exactly,
products that we're
exactly,
talking about.
exactly. So like it's such a different dynamic, right? Which enables you to grow much faster too. Uh, but yeah,
I love it. You're hearing that from the
yeah,
Patrick Mahomes and future Tom Brady from marketing.
yeah,
So two final questions that I like to ask every guest that comes on the channel. But
yeah.
10 years from now, and this doesn't have to be about business, keep that in mind.
Right.
What's one sentence that defines your legacy and the impact that you've made on the world?
Wow.
It's a deep
One
one.
sentence. Uh, oof. I don't know if there's like a, yeah, that's a tough one. Hopefully, I think at the end of the day, like businesses and companies kind of come and go, like you're never gonna be doing what you're doing for the long, I guess, for your entire life. I'm not gonna be at Clay for my entire life. Um, and I think the main thing is like I think the things that actually matter are the people that you worked with and the business and the relationships that you build. So I think the main thing is like, did I have a positive impact on people's lives whenever we were working together, and was I able to contribute to this to this person in a positive way? Because these are the things that matter at the end of the day. So I don't know exactly what's the sentence, but I think for me is like it's much more about the interactions that we had as people, and then did that help you in any way?
I love that. I couldn't agree more too. It's all about the human connection that you make along the way and
Yeah.
lives you touch. But you also could have just said, I want to be the Patrick Mahomes of growth marketing. All right. And the other question is, what is the most important advice that you'd give someone who's interested in the path that you've taken, joining two absolute rocket ship companies? What advice would you give them, someone who's looking to find that next company?
I think um, I think there are actually like a few things. One is you have to be naturally curious. You have to be if you optimize for like a short term salary gain or a short term like capital gain. This is like a plug. We now have a channel in our Clay community on Slack. It's called GTM Advice,
Hmm.
like GTM Career Advice. And it's actually really cool to sort of like I am often there like responding to people because it's something that resonates with me. And someone asks like a similar question, like, "Oh, I got this. I'm on this role. It pays me a little bit more, and I have this other role that I like, and I think there's more upside. What should I do?" And of course, this depends on like on your financial circumstances. Like sometimes people you can really lose some paycheck. But I think it's like one, you have to be naturally curious. You have to be curious on how you can make an impact on a specific business, and you need to be, especially earlier in your career, you need to think long term. You need to sort of think of like, okay, what are the conditions that I'm going to put myself into these sort of like next few years that are going to make me um that it's going to compound over time, you know? And these things are things like, oh, do I continue on this job that it's like it's paying me something, or do I leave this job for and go to a more junior role that will sort of like, but I know it's like a field that I want to get in, it's going to pay me more long term, you know? or for example, should I move to this specific city that I know it's the epicenter of my role, that's going to make me meet so many people,
Like going from Hawaii to New York, you know?
yeah, yeah. or like earlier in my career, I had a bunch of opportunities to stay somewhere, decided to move to San Francisco, to sort of like get really deep into that place, and then sort of like meet people, and then that helped me quite a lot. So like you have to be willing to do these like smaller sacrifices, and then willing to actually go into areas that you might be compensated in not as favorable way for the next few years for you to actually compound over time. And I think the last thing, nothing beats the hours that you put in. That's sort of like, if you want to really, um, if you want to really sort of like make an impact, it's a number of hours game. I know this is like there's a low, people might not want this, but at the end of the day, it's like how many hours you put into this specific problem that that's what's gonna actually make you. an expert, and it's going to skyrocket your career.
I can 100% resonate with that. Nothing beats hard work, and
Yeah,
nothing will ever beat hard work.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I can also resonate with the first piece you said. I mean, when Ali and I first teamed up and
Hmm.
Understory became a thing, I had a couple options at the time. So there was one job opportunity I was flirting with. It's five
Yeah,
hundred thousand dollars a year OT.
yeah,
So it was
yeah,
half base, half commission, but a $250,000 base and
yeah,
$250,000 in commission. That's
yeah,
a pretty cushy job, you
yeah,
know? And
yeah,
then there was another one that was right around four, it was like 380, all right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
I was deep in interview stages for both. And inevitably I ended up taking the leap and doing this. And I took
yeah,
a massive pay cut,
yeah,
enormous pay cut. I think
yeah,
my first month, like doing this full time, I think I made like $2,000,
yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
And $2,000, I'm not like scoffing at that or anything, but when you live in an expensive city, you have
yeah,
bills to pay,
yeah,
and I'm 30 now, but at the
yeah,
time I was 27, I think.
yeah,
And
yeah,
at that time, it's like I had a reasonable amount of bills. That was a
yeah,
crazy pill for me to swallow. I started living off savings, like
yeah,
crazy stuff that I'd never had to do in my life.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
but that patience and that amount of hours that you're talking about, putting
yeah,
that in, it's taken
yeah,
me well beyond where I would have been.
yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, I mean, you got to trust the grind. You got to trust the process. I don't want to call it a grind because I don't want to sound red pilly, but you know what I mean? Like, you've got to trust the process and you've got to be willing to commit yourself to a
Yeah,
long term vision. It's the only way
yeah,
you're ever going to get where you really want to go.
exactly, exactly. There's no secret.
Nope.
Yeah,
Cool. Well,
yeah,
Bruno, thank you so much for finally making it on. I
yeah,
appreciate it. This was a fun episode, and I think,
yeah.
honestly, our audience is going to get a ton of value from everything you have to say. I might call it
Awesome.
Bruno Estrella, the Patrick Mahomes of growth marketing.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right, man.
Awesome.